Yep,
Okay.
we're all good. Great.
Okay, thank you. So how can I go to okay. Okay, I would like to talk about introduction PROLEG, and this is joint work with Wachara, Fungwacharakorn, and Kanae Tsushima. And my the outline of the talk is as follows. So I'd like to talk about the issues of legal programming language and the solution by PROLEG, and then I briefly introduce PROLEG and some example, and I conclude my talk. So there are three issues which I'm thinking of to design a legal programming language. And so the first one is what is the target activities in legal reasoning? So there are several activities in legal reasoning, and each of which has several different characteristics, and we need to decide which one is supported. And the second one is how do we attract lawyers, attract lawyers in order to let them use our programming language. And since it is aimed for a support of lawyers, it would be useless if they don't accept our language, even if it is mathematically beautiful. The third one is how do we prove the correctness of a program to reflect semantics of legal reasoning, and we need to show that the written program is correct in terms of legal semantics. I think that these issues, it is not just all of the issues, but a subset of issues which you should think of if you would like to design legal programming language. And here is our solution. So that the first one is target. So PROLEG is the supporting system of litigation, and there are mainly three phases in litigation process in rule-based countries. I think that there are some other process in case-based reasoning countries, but currently we are working on rule-based things. And so the first phase is fact-finding phase, which is supported by evidential reasoning, and the judge decides the truth value of facts in the considered case, and facts should contribute to judgment using evidence. And the second phase is subsumption phase, which is needed, which subsumption reasoning is needed, and the judge makes a correspondence between specific facts and real concepts. And the third phase is judgment phase, which is rule-based reasoning, and according to the truth value, a judge decides which legal rights or obligation exists by applying some rules in law. Okay, and so solution by PROLEG is for target is that our target is just the third phase, which is called judgment phase in civil litigation. It is because since we use logic programming technology, there are various common features between logic programming, such as negation failure and handling uncertainty in judgment phase. And especially in Japan, the Japanese Legal Training Institute, which is the National Training Center for Lawyers, have been developing the Japanese presupposed ultimate theory. In Japanese, it is called Yokenjitsuron, and just theory for short in this presentation. And the just theory gives a default value for each condition in civil code, which can be used for reasoning about uncertainty, especially to represent burden proof in litigation, because it is used for when there is not enough evidence to decide the truth value. So we use default value if we cannot decide the truth value from the evidence. And another reason is that there are many legal textbooks in the judgment phase on which we can depend to write a program. However, so unfortunately, there are few textbooks how to solve other phases. I mean that the fact-finding phase and the subsumption phase. So we choose the third phase to support it. Okay. And for the appeal to lawyers, at first, actually, we directly used PROLOG to implement the just theory and show lawyers a PROLOG program for civil code rules. However, they do not understand well, especially because of nested negation as failure. And so we changed the representation from negations failure to general exceptions in ProLeg, which matches lawyers' daily life reasoning. And as an evidence, I have been hiring graduates from the Law School of University of Tokyo, one of the top law school in Japan, for every year, and for just 6 months, and who can easily start to write a ProLeg program after short introduction of the language. So I believe that this kind of representation is good for lawyers. And it would be interesting to note that ProLeg is essentially equivalent to PROLOG, since we have one-to-one correspondence in mathematical sense, but lawyers seems to like ProLeg representation instead of PROLOG. So other issues is correctness, and actually there is no theoretical result about correctness, but we have a mechanism of tracing reasoning in ProLeg for lawyers, like trace facility of ProLog, and we can check the reasoning process by ProLeg using legal textbooks in the judgment phase. So there are many legal textbooks, and we can check whether our tracing follows the legal textbook. And moreover, we have been checking the correctness of reasoning process for multiple socio-legal problems in real Japanese legal bar exam for civil code from 2009. And so empirically, currently we don't see any bugs nowadays. So empirically, it is proved that the ProLeg mechanism is correct. So now I would like to show some brief introduction of ProLeg. And we implemented the just theory in the judgment phase in litigation, civil litigation by using logic program technology. And we call the system ProLeg, PROlog-based legal reasoning system. And ProLeg program consists of a ProLeg rule-based and ProLeg fact-based. And so ProLeg rule-based consists of the following expressions that is default rule and exception. A rule is of the form of Horn clauses without negations failure. So this means that the conclusion H is derived if conditions of B1 to Bn are satisfied by default. However, there is some exceptions, so that we use this exception HE. HE atoms of each of which is a head of rule, and this expresses a rebuttal of H by E. So if E is true, even if B1 to Bn are true, H will be false. So that is a mechanism of exception. So this is very simple syntax, but it is sufficient to represent civil code in Japan, at least. And the problem fact-based represent truth values of legal facts in litigation. So a fact base consists of a set of the following expression fact P, where P is an atom in the body of some rule. Please note that so all the evidence and evidential reasoning is already performed, and already the truth value of the facts are decided. So after this determination of truth of the fact, we use rules to reason about judgment. And the semantics of ProLeg is, as I've said, that it is similar to PROlog, especially answer set programming. And the semantics of ProLeg, program P is a set of grounded atoms, M such that M satisfies this kind of fixed point semantics. And phi P is a grounded program obtained from P by instantiating every variable in a rule, and the exception in P by ground universe of P. And phi PM is a set of ground horn clauses defined as rule which doesn't have any exceptions. And μh is a minimal model of a set of horn clauses. So this definition is very similar to the one of the set answer set programming, but we can allow a function symbols. So somehow it is the first order answer set programming semantics. So example, I'll show that very simple example. The plaintiff Alice requested the defendant Bob for the payment of goods according to the purchase contract with Bob. And Bob claimed that Alice threatened Bob to buy the goods, and Bob canceled the contract as a counter argument. And the rule is like this. So requesting money based on purchase contract, the argument is seller-buyer contract, and then if purchase contract establishment is true, and the definition of purchase contract establishment is that the condition is purchase contract agreement. So if there is a purchase contract agreement, then the purchase contract will be established, and if it is established, then the seller can request money. So another rule is related to exceptions. So there is an exception that if the rescinding contract due to duress, then the purchase contract establishment is no longer true. And rescinding contract due to duress has three conditions: duress action, feeling fear, and the manifestation of recession. So if these three conditions are true, then the rescinding contract due to duress is true. Then even if the condition of purchase contract establishment are true, because of the exception, it is not true. And problem facts is represented like this, so that, for example, purchase contract agreement is between Alice and Bob. Purchase contract agreement is done, and the name of the contract is contract 1. And there is some facts about duress action and feeling fear and manifestation of recession. So if we input this PROLEG facts and then using the PROLEG rules, we can get the results. And we have a diagrammatic representation of reasoning, and it is rather small, but in the left-hand side, leftmost box expresses the conclusion, and in the bottom of the element of the box, it shows cross, I think, and so that means Alice cannot claim the money from Bob, and it is because even if that there is a purchase contract agreement was done, because of the menace action, it is cancelled. So that dotted line, a dotted arrow expresses the exceptions. So that if one of the exceptions are true, that means in the last element of the box expresses circle, which is meaning true. And then even if the condition of the establishment contract is true, it is no longer true because of this adverse action. Okay, so I would like to conclude my talk. So the system reflects lawyers' reasoning of general rules and exceptions in the judgment phase in civil litigation. And currently, we have already written 2,500 rules, not only for the civil code, but case rules defined by Supreme Court. And we checked these rules is correct according to the bar exams of Japan, real bar exams in Japan. And we are extending our language to handle arguments in litigation between plaintiff and defendants, and also to handle other laws such as criminal law, private international law, and intellectual property law as well. And we have developed an interactive debugging system for PROLEG programs as well. Okay, that is all from my presentation. Thank you very much for hearing.
Thanks, Ken. Are there any questions in the audience for this talk? Okay, are there any questions online for this talk? Okay, so we have a first question for Jason. How do the reasoning capabilities of ProLeg differ from those of something like logical English?
As I have said that the ProLeg, the semantic of ProLeg is the same as first order ISP, and LE is also same semantics. So I think that we can do the same thing. Okay.
All right,
so
thank you.
It is as a matter of representation. So I use default rules and exceptions, and LE uses negations failure.
Good. Well.